Hi, good morning. Good morning, my dear friends. Okay, so we're still on the topic um, verbal abuse and the different examples and the different forms. Okay, different forms and examples. Okay, I'm still using healthline.com's resource tool to explain this topic. Okay, so first form of verbal abuse is name calling, whether it is a romantic relationship, a parent child relationship, um, or the bully on the playground. Name calling is unhealthy and sometimes obvious, sometimes disguised as pet names or teasing. Habitual name calling is a method of belittling you. Oh, no wonder, like before, when somebody tells me, "Oh, have you done this, sweetie?" I felt so uncomfortable being called a sweetie. Why? I'm not even somebody else's sweetie, somebody else that I don't actually. No, just, I don't know. I just felt uncomfortable about it. And I know that I talked about it with one of my friends. Um, and so, for example, somebody tells you, "You don't get it, sweetie, because you're just too dumb." Oh my goodness. Like, it gives me a stomachache just saying that. And it's no wonder everyone says, "You're a jerk." All right, so that's name calling, being a jerk, even if calling you honey, sweetie, sweetheart, if it's not even your husband or your wife calling you. I don't know. So it's up to you to decide. If it doesn't have any effect on you, well, fine. But that's what it says here, and that's what I believe too. Number two, condescension. Condescension is another attempt to belittle you. The abuser's comments can be sarcastic, disdainful, and patronizing. Is all to make themselves feel superior. For example, let me see if I can put this in simple terms that even you can understand. Ouch. Or, "I'm sure you put a lot of effort into your makeup, but go wash it off and before someone sees you." Okay, so that's condescension. Next is criticism. I'm trying not to give a lot of elaboration so this doesn't take long. Number three is criticism. There's nothing wrong with constructive criticism, okay? So I just want to put it out there. But in a verbally abusive relationship, is particularly harsh and persistent. Harsh, meaning it kind of crumples your heart, and also persistent and ongoing in an attempt to chip away, break down your self-esteem. For example, somebody tells you you're always upset about something, always playing the victim. That's why nobody likes you, all right? And another example, "Oh, you screwed up again. Can't you do anything right?" I'm just thinking if I have said this to someone. What's good with this is, you know, as I teach you, as I talk about this, I'm also kind of talking to myself, and I'm also learning along the way to just be careful and not to commit these mistakes myself as I relate with people. Number four, degradation. Okay, abusers want you to feel bad about yourself. They employ humiliation and shame to degrade to degrade you and eat away all your confidence. Okay, and I have said this before. Um, it breaks you down. It tears you apart. Okay, words that hurt, words that give you pain. That's why my first um, video was about rejecting rejections and just standing up to yourself and um, not recognizing the power of hurtful words. Okay. Degradation. In terms of degradation, abusers want you to feel bad about yourself. They employ humiliation and shame to degrade you and eat away at your confidence. I had to repeat that because this is very common. For example, somebody tells you, "Before I came along, you were nothing. Without me, you'll be nothing again." Okay. And another example, I mean, you look at yourself. Who else would want you? So this is like very direct and hurtful. Number five, manipulation. Well, it is an attempt to make you do something without making it a direct order. Make no mistakes about it. It's meant to control you and keep you off defense or off balance. For example, if you do that, it proves you don't care about your family and everyone will know it. So it's manipulation, manipulating your decisions, manipulating your actions, and also controlling you. Second, you do this for me if you really love me. Okay, so in romantic relationships, usually happens that you can't prove yourself, your love to someone if you do things for them. Okay, so if you satisfy their expectations, for me, it's not right. All right. Um, Number six is blame. We're all at fault for something once in a while, of course. But a verbally abusive person blames you for their behavior. They want you to believe that you bring verbal abuse on yourself. For example, "I hate getting into fights, but you make me so mad." Okay, sounds familiar? Number two, example, I have to yell because you're so unreasonable and thick-headed. Blame. Seven, accusations. If someone is repeatedly accusing you of things, they may be jealous or envious, or perhaps they're the one guilty of the behavior. Either way, it can make you question whether you're doing something inappropriate. For example, "I saw the way you looked at them. You can tell me there's nothing going on there." Another example, "Why don't you give me your cell phone if you've got nothing to hide?" Oh my goodness. Number eight, form of verbal abuse. Withholding or isolation. Refusing to talk to you, look at you in the eye, or even be in the room with you is meant to make you work harder to get their attention. And for example, somebody, calls you into their office, and while talking to you, that person goes into his cell phone or her cell phone and just texts or types something and tells you, "Yes, go ahead, continue, I'm listening." I don't think it's right. Okay, think about it. Maybe some of you can relate with me. Okay, another example is at a friend's house, you say or do something they don't like. Without a word, they storm out and sit in the car, leaving you to explain and say goodbye to your hosts. Third example, they know you need to communicate about who's picking up the kids, but they refuse to answer your calls. So, refusing to answer your calls or texts, withholding or isolation in a form of abuse. Number nine is gaslighting. Gaslighting, haven't heard about this before. Is a systematic effort to make you question your own version of events. It can make you apologize for things that aren't your fault. It can also make you more dependent on the abuser. Example, you recall an event, agreement, or argument, and the abuser denies that it happened at all. They make they may tell you it's all in your mind, you dreamed it, or you are making it up. Okay. Another example, they tell other person that you're forgetful or have emotional problems to solidify the illusion. Okay. Number 10, form circular arguments. It isn't unusual for two people to disagree or argue about the same thing more than once until they find common ground. But, guys, my friends, abusers will reignite that old argument again and again just to push your buttons, never intending to meet in the middle. For example, your job requires you to put on overtime without notice. Every time it happens, the argument about your tardiness starts anew. So that's circular arguments. Next, you've made it clear that you're not ready for kids, but your partner brings it up every month. Number 11, threats. Outright threats can mean that verbal abuse will escalate. They are meant to frighten you into compliance. For example, when you come home tonight, you might find a for sale sign on the lawn and it might just be gone with the kids. Hello. If you do that, another example, no one would blame me for how I'd react. Imagine. Okay, so was number 11, and those were some forms of verbal abuse. What to do? What do we have to do? Because sometimes we don't even know what to do. We don't know what to react, how to react, because we don't want to hear it. We don't want it to happen over and over again. And so, if you think you're experiencing verbal abuse, trust your instincts. Keep in mind, keep in mind, there is a chance it will eventually escalate. Now that you recognize it, you have to decide how you're going to do something about it. Okay? So, reasoning with the abuser is tempting but unlikely to work. Okay? So remember, you're not responsible for someone else's behavior. So don't reason at all anymore because they're not even going to recognize your ideas, your views. Okay? Because they believe in themselves. They believe that they're bigger than you. And your voice cannot be heard and your voice doesn't make sense. However, you can also set boundaries. Start refusing to engage in unreasonable arguments. Let them know you'll no longer respond to or overlook verbal abuse. Okay? Limit your exposure to the abuser as much as possible. Now, if you travel in the same social circles, you might have to make some difficult decisions. If you can't avoid the person altogether, try to keep it down to situations where there are other people around. Then, when you're ready, cut all ties if you can. Breaking things off with your abuser can be complicated in some situations, like if you live with them, have children together, or are dependent on them in some way. You may find it helpful to speak with a counselor or join a support group. Sometimes an outsider's perspective can help you see things in a new light and figure out what to do next, especially if you're a wife and the abuse comes from your husband. Okay, it may not be the bad words that the person is telling you, or it doesn't have to be bad words that are thrown to you, but it can be just controlling and telling you to be somebody that he wants you to be, that is painful for you to do, because of course you have your own identity, you have your own characteristics, and you have your own way of doing things. If he doesn't like how you configure the kitchen, or he doesn't like how you fix your hair, or he just generally doesn't like the food that you buy, or he generally doesn't like how you talk to the kids and tells you that you are always on the side of the kids. It's those simple and minor things can eat you up, okay? Now, how do we see this? How do we heal? Now, healing takes time, but it's important not to isolate yourself. Reach out to supportive friends, okay? And family members. That's why my best friends forever is important for us to come together once in a while to talk it out, share feelings, share the good things, and the not so good ones. Now, if you're in a school, talk to a teacher or guidance counselor if you're a student, or if you think it will help, find a therapist who can help you in your recovery. Now, if you need guidance on how to separate from your abuser, or if you fear escalation, here are a few resources that will provide support. Again, still I'm using healthline.com. Break the cycle, supporting young people ages 12 to 24 to build healthy relationships and create an abuse-free culture. Second, domesticshelters.org, okay? Educational information, hotline, and searchable database of programs and services near you. Now, Love is Respect's National Dating Abuse Hotlines offers young people a chance to chat online, call, or text with advocates. And last but not least, National Domestic Abuse Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. This is a 24/7 hotline with access to service providers and shelters across the United States. Once you're out of a verbally abusive situation, it's often easier to see it for what it was. All right, I hope this helps. Okay, let me know if you have questions. My name is Grace. I've been a teacher for more than 30 years, and now talking to students, counseling them regarding discipline and how to treat others with respect. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Please share so people will know what information we have regarding this topic. Have a good day and happy Saturday. All right. God bless you.